Good afternoon. Welcome to InfraWorks 360, bringing your road, bridge, and bridge projects to life. So, um, just a little bit about what I'm going to be presenting today, because there's a lot in terms of what we want to be able to see. So, you have to think about, how we enable any user to efficiently design bridges that not only look good, but are more accurate and more realistic. So InfraWorks 360 has some parameters that you really want to be able to take advantage of in order to win bids and spend more time in reference to the things that you want to be able to do. So the first thing that I want to kind of take a look at is within InfraWorks 360 you have the ideal of concrete and steel girders. So we're going to take a look at that functionality, and then we're also going to take a look at what InfraWorks 360 brings to the table in terms of road design and bridge analysis. So from a realistic bridge model to bridge concepts is what I'll be displaying for today. And since this is being recorded, you'll be able to review and take a look at this at any point in time after the fact. So again, InfraWorks 360 is really about communicating ideas and having a great imagination. So some of the things that I'm going to kind of show you as simple as 2 picks to create a bridge across a stream or river. Pick one side of the bridge deck, pick the other side, and be able to pull out quantities. So I'm going to talk about some of the stat cards that come up as we pick on specific objects. We're going to talk a little bit about road design, and we're also going to talk about bridge design in terms of what InfraWorks brings to the table. So as we're looking at some of the asset cards as we pick on a bridge or a road, we'll be able to input names with types in reference to precast or steel plate, and then showing envelope clearance, and then also taking a look at different piers in terms of what it brings to the table from the legacy version of InfraWorks all the way to the current state. And then also bridge styles at any point in time to be able to go in and create and manipulate height, width, spacing, and also material for some of the bridges. And then also bridge properties. So not only can we go in and change stylization, but if we want to automatically generate a bridge deck and also thickness of that deck. And then bearing from the left side or the right side in reference to that bridge deck. We'll also take a look at abutments, girders, piers, and also foundations. And then bridge above the deck, and then also below. So we'll take a look at some of these things as we go through the application, and then some of the functionality and flexibility that you can utilize with the newest version of InfraWorks. So Autodesk is really coming out with a updated version in terms of implementing different tools probably every 3 to 4 weeks in reference to InfraWorks. So that's something to look out after, as you kind of look at InfraWorks 360. So we're going to look at expanded bridge capabilities and the road design capabilities. And then also how we can really take a look at this realistic bridge structure, evaluate bridge design options, and also visualize that in reference to a drive-through. And then how do we create these conceptual girder bridges, initial layout, and also how we control these key parameters. And then in context editing, how we can update piers, layouts, bridge clearances, and then how we can pull quantities from this conceptual layout. So something as simple as this, and we'll do this as I look through the software, but something as simple as 2 picks and a click, and we can lay out a bridge. So pretty straightforward, right click, and there's my bridge. So something as simple as that. So you bridge engineers out there, you really have a lot of functionality that you can utilize in terms of a conceptual bridge layout. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time with videos and things like that. Bridge design for InfraWorks, again, piers, columns, clearance, attributes we'll be taking a look at. And then also, clearly, being able to come from an existing road and then going up the right-of-way and then going across the highway. Something as simple as that. If I just double pick, the ability to raise my bridge and from my existing ground to my proposed grade. So some simple things we'll take a look at. And then also earthwork quantities, cut and fill values, detailed reports we'll be able to take a look at also. And then what's really nice is this idea of unit configuration that we're going to take a look at that is part of the new InfraWorks. So that's going to be the new InfraWorks 2017.2. And then also matching complex cross sections. So even looking at that bridge there, if we put a bridge in there, what happens when we go from existing ground to above ground in terms of what that looks like? Because clearly there's not going to be a grass median on a bridge. So we'll take a look at some of those things also. So more detail, go deeper into your design with your bridge, detailed design faster, and analytics, how we can run analysis. So as I jump out of my PowerPoint here, we'll just jump right into InfraWorks. So one of the biggest assets that we want to be able to utilize with InfraWorks is this idea that we can go anywhere in the world and grab topo data, roads and map data, and then also aerial photography. So one of the things that I'm quickly going to do is use Model Builder. So with Model Builder, we can go, again, anywhere in the world. So if you look at it as it just being a map, I can zoom in and out in terms of what location I want to pull data from. Or I can go up to my search by location. So in my search by location, I'm just going to type in, how about, let's see where we want to go today. So I'll say Lithia Springs, Georgia. So if I select Lithia Springs, Georgia, it zooms right to that location. So based upon that location, it allows me to lay out and specify an area of 200 square kilometers. So if you think about 50,000 square miles. So if I just zoom in, I can zoom on any area and define my location for my area of interest. So as I kind of zoom around here, let's just look at what we have here. So we'll just zoom into this area. So this looks like an interesting location. So we'll just zoom in. And what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to define my area so I can draw an area of interest up to 200 square kilometers. I'm going to get road data, which is going to be from open street maps, highway, rail. We also will get building data from open street maps. And then we get aerial imagery from Bing Maps, which automatically drapes along the terrain. And then we get elevation data that comes from USGS 10 and 30 meters, digital elevation models. And we can define that area of interest. So if I just pick on it, I'm going to pick something as simple as this, 9 square kilometers. And then I'm just going to call that Thornton Road. So something plain and simple. And this will send an email to me notifying me when my model has been generated. So I'll go ahead and select Create Model. So something pretty straightforward. It lets me know that it's going to take a few minutes. I've logged into InfraWorks, so it's going to give me details in reference to my model called Thornton Road. It has my state plane and world coordinates, and then my time zone and where it's being tracked. So I'll go ahead and close that, and I'll close that. So as an example, I'm just going to pick on several of my models that I have here, and you can see it's already created that Thornton Road automatically. So that took probably 2 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a model to give you an idea of what you get. So you get aerial photography, you get building data, you get road data that's brought in automatically. So if I jump back out, something pretty straightforward. If I jump back out, it takes me back to my interface that shows me all my models, and it shows me that Thornton Road. So if I pick on Thornton Road, it shows me it's 1 meg, so it downloads my model, so it opens up my model. It looks at that database, which is in the cloud, and it generates a model for me that's displayed within InfraWorks. So something pretty straightforward, and we'll take a look at what we get. So here's my model, and as I zoom in, once I catch up here, so it depending on internet speed, so you can see a nice clear picture of that area. So, so data that it's created on the fly, it's created road data. So if I hold my cursor, it's going to tell me what the name of these roads are. So it's brought in road data, it's brought in streams, it's brought in aerial from that location that I specified. So something as simple as this road. So you can see it's brought in a spline road. So once I select it, it tells me it's from Blair's Bridge. It has a style to it. It has green space. Then it's got some data tied to it. So this is what you get when you derive your InfraWorks model and you open it up. So one of the things that I am going to do, because this road is so long, I am going to select one of my roads here on this side. So, and as an example, I just want to create a design road from my InfraWorks model that's been generated automatically. So as you can see, there's a lot of vertexes, which means that this is a spline, which I want to lay out this road based upon Astro standards. So if I right click on this road, I can convert this design road, convert this to a design road. So when I pick on it, it's showing me that this road is called Interstate Parkway West. So now you notice there's a lot less vertexes in there. And we have, so for you civil engineers out there or designers, you know, now you have to think about what this brings to the table in terms of what that road is. So if I wanted a quick profile view of that road, it's just as simple as that. So there's the profile of my road, just as simple as that. So let me extend this a little bit. So when I pick on that, clearly you can see I got some things going on here in terms of vertical. So if I picked on this point right here, this PVI, I can raise or lower, and you can see from the screen that it raises or lower. Okay, so, and if I wanted to, I can remove that PVI. I can look at my curve properties. I can change those on the fly. I can delete or remove a PVI, so I'm just going to remove a PVI. So now you can see it automatically changes that grade from that PC to that PT. If I wanted to, I can add in a PVI. So something as simple as that. So not only can I lay out for my design for my road, I can also simulate what my cut and fill is going to be. And I'm just going to leave that as is. because one of the things I want to be able to do is I want to take out another PVI here, because these are pretty close together. So I'll remove that PVI. And from that, if I just pick on it, you know, it lays out that proposed and existing. So if we look down here, that's a pretty steep slope. And that's the end there. And if I wanted to, I can pick on that and give it an elevation. So it gives me my grade in and my grade out. And if I raise or lower that, you can see down the bottom in my profile that I have a quick point of elevation that I can change back and forth. So it shows me exactly where I'm at on my design road. So if I came back down, I can move it in my plan or in my profile. And then when I pick in the screen, dynamically updates. So that's one of the beauties of working with, so if you think about what you'd have to do with some of the other products out there, let's think about Civil 3D. So with Civil 3D, being able to grab create an alignment, create a profile, and then from the existing ground, generate that profile, you can do those things. But you want to be able to quickly do those things. So if I hit escape twice, and then I pick on it again, one of the beauties is now I can convert this to a component role. So I have a design role, and then I have a component role. So when I select to convert it to a component role, and again, I can change the parameters, but based upon what I want to be able to do, I'm going to convert this to a component role. So it says, well, choose a style that I want to be able to look at. So street, sidewalk, and green space, and then 4-lane divided. For my component role, the beauty of working with this is I can put in specific components for my design role. So if I came back up, I can even do bridges. So I got a lot of flexibility in terms of what I want to be able to do. So component role with a divided and sloped asphalt median, a grass median. So I got a lot of flexibility in terms of what I want to be able to do. So I'm going to close this. And if I scroll down, again, a lot of flexibility in terms of what I want to be able to do. So a component role with just 2 lanes. So if I came back and just said 4-lane with divided slope median with grass, I'll pick on that. And then I'll select to convert that component role. And again, bringing my road and bridge design to life. So when I pick on that now, it gives me this asset card. And from this asset card, one of the things I'm able to do is I right-click, I can show my design speed. I can show roadside grading. I can also show cross-section views. So with my cross-section view, now I can go in and see a cross-section view, and if I pick on this, I can show, based upon my cross-section, cut and fill quantities. I can also go in and tag what I want to be able to show for quantities. So as an example, I can compute my earthwork quantities. So when I select compute earthwork quantities, it's showing me how much cut and fill at the specific station that I'm at. And I also have different views in terms of what I want to be able to display. So here's, you can see clearly a lot of fill. And then when we get into cut, it's showing me where I am in reference to cut. So it's giving me dynamic information right on the screen. So again, bringing my road design to life in terms of what I want to be able to do in terms of cut and fill. Okay, so as an example, if I pick on my road again, I can just delete my road from out of there. So something pretty straightforward. So now I want to come in and lay out a design road. So just some quick functionality in reference to my design road. So I'm going to come in and I'm just going to say street lamp with sidewalks. And you notice once I pick in the center here, I'm going to pick this point here, pick that point, go on the top of that hill, and then I'll pick that point. Right click, I can tell it curve and spiral options, or I can select and draw. You notice it makes a intersection here, and here's my design road. So if I look at my design road, I want to be able to look at that in terms of my profile. So if I pick on that, I can move my design road based upon my existing ground. So I'm going to put that here at this point. And then I'm going to pick on this point here, and I'm going to add a PVI. So just some quick functionality. And then when I pick in the screen, dynamically updating. So pretty straightforward. So I'm going to create another road. So I'm going to create another quick road. So I want to create a T intersection here. So I'm just going to pick right in the middle there, and I'm going to pick 2 points. And as you notice, it's looking at a design speed for my curve radius. So I'm just going to double pick right there, so something plain and simple. So now I have 2 design roads. When I pick on that road, it gives me this contextual asset card. With this asset card, I can go in, maybe I want this to be a roundabout. So some really quick stuff that I want to be able to generate, and I can tell it specifically what I want my roundabout to be in reference to my road. If I wanted to go back, I can pick on intersection. So some really quick stuff based upon AASHTO standards. I can even say, you know, based upon that, I need a semi WB19 truck to go through this intersection. Everything dynamic. So I'll just come back and I'll say, I want a box truck to be able to go through there. So some pretty straightforward stuff. And one of the other things you can clearly do, again, now I want to be able to come in and say, well, maybe on my road lane forward, I want this to be 2 lanes. So I'll just come right here and say, well, I want that to be 2 lanes. I'll pick in the screen. Now that gives me 2 lanes. So a lot of functionality and flexibility that you have in terms of your asset cards, in terms of what InfraWorks road design brings to the table. And if I wanted to, if I picked on my road, again, go back to geometry, and you can clearly see you can do some roadside grading where I'm at 10 meters. I can change that from meters to imperial units, and I can go a fixed slope if I wanted to. So if I went a fixed slope, I could say 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1 in terms of what you get in terms of your road layout and design. So again, some of the real world things that we want to be able to do, we can utilize InfraWorks to get us there faster. So again, the ability to communicate ideas. So I'll jump back right back to geometry. And what does this look like in terms of me driving through this intersection and my design road? So some really quick things. I can create a storyboard. So when I look at creating a storyboard, I want to create a storyboard based upon my design road. So I'll just pick on my design road, something pretty straightforward. I'll look at my horizontal offset, my vertical offset, my target position offset, and then for my camera and the speed. So I can change the speed of how fast I want to drive through per frame if I wanted to. And I'm just going to go my vertical offset of 5 feet. And then I'm going to look at creating it. So something as simple as this, how long does this take to create the perspective of driving up to that intersection and then down that road? So pretty straightforward. And again, I can speed that up and raise and lower what my camera view is, but this gives me perspective in terms of what the existing environment and the context of this road design reflects. So something as simple as that. And again, these are some really quick things. If I pick on it, let me jump back down. I pick on it here. We'll lay that out. And if I right click on it, pretty straightforward, deleting the storyboard. So now that we have that, same functionality. So role design, pretty straightforward. And again, if I pick on this, right click and convert it to a component role, just really quick, we could talk about drainage and right-of-way and adding bridges, but I'm just going to convert this to a quick design role, to a component role. So here you can individually go on and change what you want for this component. So if you think about what Civil 3D brings to the table, now you start thinking about, you know, what you want to be able to add. So in reference to maybe I want sloped glass or a median sloped asphalt, maybe I want a Jersey barrier in there. So I can add content in reference to my component. So I can say battered curve, 4 lane, I can put in median, I can put in sidewalk, I can put in a lot of functionality in reference to that specific component. So I'm just going to close that. And again, I'm going to right click. When I right click, again, I can show super elevations, cross-sectional views. Again, I can insert specific components. I can add design speeds. So I could enter design speeds based upon the lengths of my roads. So a lot of functionality. So we'll jump back out of that. So road design, specific things that you can bring to the table with InfraWorks 360. Okay, so if I hit escape twice, no big deal. Let's look at what we want to be able to do here. So as an example, we're going to zoom down to here. So what would it take to create this? So I got some stuff going on here. I'm just going to delete it. No big deal. I'm going to delete this. And maybe I'll do one side, depending on time parameters. We'll look at what we want to be able to do. So some of the stuff that comes in, there is some cleanup. But as you can see, I'm just quickly going through these things. And if I pick on here, I'll delete that from there. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out my road across this point here. So I'm going to come to my road design. I can use a component road. I can use a highway. I can use a arterial road or a collector road. So even with my collector road, I'm going to do something as simple as what I did earlier. I'm going to pick street with sidewalks, and I'm just going to pick this point here and pick this point here, and then I'm going to come across and pick this next point. So the points that I pick, it's grabbing the elevations. So if I double pick, here's my simple road. So I'm making it simple. So there's my simple road. So from my simple road, I'm going to right click. I can convert that to a design component road. I can also add a right-of-way and a bridge. So from that, what I want to be able to do is I want to change my road style and give it some lanes. So something really quick, my lane forward, I'm going to say I want that to be 3 lanes. My lanes backwards, I want that to be 3 lanes. And I'll just pick right in the screen. So now we have a little bit more in terms of our lanes. So if I pick on my road, I can right click. I can split the zones in terms of what I want to be able to do per lane. I'm going to go back up to geometry. I'm going to right click on my road and I'm going to say add a bridge. So I'm going to pick this point here and come all the way across to here. And I'm just kind of specifying my beginning and end point. So now it's showing me that it's kind of added a bridge there. So with my bridge, when I pick on it, it's showing me specific entities. So adding a PVI, converting, and then again, if I go to edit that, it's showing me different parameters here. So again, my row geometry, I can come in and add or delete a bridge. So I'm going to take out some of these. So I'm going to pick, and if I hold my control key down, just some really quick things in terms of what I want to be able to do. I'll pick on that, and I'll just delete it out of there. So some really quick stuff in terms of what I want to do. So you can clearly see that even though I've kind of put a bridge here, it's grabbing elevations from my point that I picked on here. So if I pick on that and go to my profile view, I can see this point right in here. So if I pick that point, I can see where that is over there. So if I right click, I can remove a PVI. If I right click, I can remove a PVI. If I right click, I can remove a PVI and then pick in the screen. And now it's showing me, of course, still that bridge option. So when I pick back on it, I'm just going to remove a PVI here. So to clear that up, and again, now I'm just cleaning that up in reference, so you can see the difference there in terms of what those roles are bringing in. You can even see based upon this point here. This point here, if I right click, I am going to show this in profile view again. So this point right here, which is going to be that point here, and then I'm going to remove this PVI. So removing that PVI and that vertical curve, I can do that on the fly. So I'll cancel that out. And now you can start to see what I'm creating in reference to my bridge. So if I pick on, I can give it a specific elevation, or I can drag it up in terms of what I want to be able to do. So I'm going to pick that point right there, and you can see it's dynamically. So again, starting to bring my road and bridges to life in terms of what I want to be able to utilize. Okay, so, and then if I pick on my radius point here, I'm going to flip my screen a little bit and move this down so I can put my radius point in, and that dynamically updates. So when I pick on it again, I'll hit escape. I can fit in this screen or convert this geometry or not have any. So spiral, curve, or none. And again, I have a lot of flexibility in terms of what I want to be able to create. So I'm just going to move this back just a little bit once this catches up. And again, depending on your internet speed. And again, InfraWorks 360 runs on a database, SQLite. So everything that I'm doing, it's creating an automatic save at all times. So I can see that it's not responding. So no big deal, just to kind of give you an idea of where we're at. If I look at it and it's not responding, no big deal. I'm going to open up InfraWorks right back. I'm going to open up the same model so you'll see exactly what you get if you run into that scenario. And there is some service packs and again a new version that you want to be able to pull out. So let's open that Thornton roll back up and see where we're at. So my immediate thought is, well, what did I lose? So now we'll take a look at that bridge and from InfraWorks. So it still has my same model. And as I zoom into here, and again, depending on internet speed, once this catches up. So again, with InfraWorks, let's see where we're at here. Once my model catches up. So let's zoom this back out. So as my model regenerates, let's see where we're at here. One of the other things that I wanted to make reference to while this is regenerating is, at all times you'll be dealing with different types and file formats. With InfraWorks 360, it allows me to bring in different data sources, whether it's a civil 3D drawing, an AutoCAD drawing, a Revit file, a DGN model, a point cloud, even SketchUp, and then shape files. So everything that you want to be able to bring in that's outside of a CAD format, you can bring in. So let me jump right back in and out of this. Because I can hear my laptop regenerating here. So let's jump right back into my model here. So while that is regenerating, again, this idea of bridge, so I'll make sure we have enough time here. I'm going to pick on that road there, and I'm going to delete that out. So once this deletes out, and again, let me just make sure here. We'll jump back, right back into InfraWorks. And again, from road design, bringing your road to life, to bridge layout and design. So I'm going to do something pretty straightforward here. Let me just look here. And make sure I can get into any of my models in reference to my road or bridge. So something as simple as this. I'm going to lay out just a regular road as I did previously. So if I pick on it, I'm just going to pick here, here, come down here, and double pick there. So again, the idea of my road or bridge, I can right click and just add a bridge. So I'm going to go from here all the way to here. So pretty straightforward in terms of what I want to be able to do. The beauty again of working with my bridge, and I can make that a 2-lane or 4-lane. Clearly we could see that. So if I pick on my bridge and I right click and edit, it's giving me a asset card in reference to my bridge, and I have clearly design speeds in terms of what I want to be able to do. So if I pick on the side here from my bridge, I'm going to zoom in. If I pick on the side here and right click, again, being able to convert this to a component road. If I pick on the top, I can pull out quantities from my bridge. I can reset girders. So I'm going to reset girders. And you can see I reset girders. I can also come in and say, well, I want this only to have 2 piers, 3 piers. So I'll pick 3 piers. When I pick on that, dynamically updates my 3 piers. And these are not just pictures. These are actual girders and piers. So if I zoom in, oops, hit escape there. Didn't want to do that. If I pick on one of those piers, I can move it around wherever I want, dynamically updating. I can also change what type of pier that I want to utilize. So now I say a flared column. So with my flared column, so if I double pick on that, I can zoom in, and I don't have to do all the columns. I can do individual columns in terms of what I want to be able to create. Clearly, you want a lot of flexibility. So even in my flared column and that bridge, we would have to change what that was. It's still based upon AASHTO standards. I can create based upon my design envelope. Right now, it's saying is at 5 meters. I'm going to go in and change this to 20 meters. Going to hit enter. It shows me that 20 meters, and then I'll pick on my bridge, right click, and I can tell it automatically generate a new profile for my bridge. So when I come back, I can tell it, send it to Revit, quantities, update my vertical profile. So then my bridge dynamically updates based upon that vertical clearance. So if I go in and right click now, I can go in and tell it, you know, I want quantities from my bridge. So now it gives me, if I come back, it gives me my quantities based upon my data for concrete or steel. If I came in, instead of a steel, a precast concrete, I can change this to steel. When I change that to steel, now I have structural quantities. Not only do I have structural quantities, if I came in and picked on that, I can go in and right click, pick one more time. If I pick on the side here, now I can go in and tell it, you know, send this specifically to Revit. So the design parameters that I can create and run analysis here in reference to my bridge, I can send it straight to Revit and also into Civil 3D. So what I'm going to do really quick is we have a bridge component up here in terms of my catalog. So I can perform analysis. So if I went in, I can do quantities or my line girder analysis. So if I pick on my deck here again, if I jump back, we'll exit out of that. I can actually run girder analysis. So it puts out an analysis in my bridge analysis program that several years ago there was a separate girder analysis program. It's actually part of InfraWorks 360 now. So a lot of functionality in reference to line girder analysis. So again, we won't look at that simulation, but if I came in now, again, I can show drainage, do all those things in reference to my bridge design. And again, if I came back, and that's, I'm going to leave that as is, but I can do the same thing in reference to creating a storyboard. And my storyboard, I came back here, same perspective, came in, select create from design road. If I picked on my design road, again, vertically, when driving in a car, it creates a quick storyboard for me. So the same thing that I can do with my design road, and I can do some cleanup in reference to doing that. I just kind of put a bridge in there, but the same perspective of what that will look like driving up my bridge. So some pretty simple things. So if I picked on this, let's zoom back out. back over here to my bridge, I could come in and actually change the style for my bridge. So clearly I could come back and make changes based upon my bridge style. So right now, if I wanted to, I could go into more styles and I can say, well, I want this to be an actual boulevard with a bridge. So if I went to bridge deck, I can just pick on that folder and just tell it, I want sidewalks with a bridge deck. So if I pick on that and select OK, I can change pieces and parts of my bridge or my road layout. So some pretty quick stuff. So right now it's state, interstate. I can come in here and change what I want. Again, sidewalk, general, bridge, rectangular. I got a lot of flexibility in terms of what I want to be able to do. So I can change that, have different formatting in terms of what I want for my bridge. So again, real world analysis in terms of working with road and bridge design. So it gets a little bit more into graphics, but based upon me laying out, I can simulate what my sky and my wind direction and the cloud cover. I can create some really nice videos in terms of what's happening on shadow analysis in terms of, again, a real world scenario of what may be going on in this specific part of the country or world for that matter. So again, a lot of flexibility. And again, if I pick on something as simple as that right click, I can exit out of that mode and I can delete it. So some pretty straightforward stuff in reference to road and bridge design. But if you think about it, it gets you quicker from that concept into design. So something as simple as, a road that's been generated just from the roads from OpenStreetMaps. Again, being able to simulate and create design data from that. So again, if I wanted to, I can create a design road. And from my design road, I have options here. So for instance, I can do a tunnel. So a lot of flexibility in terms of what I want to be able to do. So I just double pick on there. So in terms of my tunnel, so I can do an actual tunnel if I wanted to in terms of my design road. So from this, I'll right click. I can tell it specifically what road style I want. So based upon this parameter, I can tell it, for my road style, I can split what zone I want this to be. So if I right click, I can add a zone and I can say, well, I just want this to be a street and sidewalk. So we'll just say asphalt road. Then I can tell it specifically where to start that at. I'll start it right here before I get to the tunnel. And then I'll pick here. And I'll pick there. And for my road style, my lane ahead, I'm going to put 0. So now I just have 1. So again, the idea of what I want to be able to create, whether it's a tunnel, a road, a bridge, I have total flexibility in terms of what I want to be able to create with InfraWorks 360. So some really straightforward stuff in terms of where I want to be. And ultimately, again, to get you to this point, I'm just going to bring up one quick model as an example. So I'm going to bring up one quick model. In terms of, again, communicating ideas, and then I'll open it up for questions after I have a quick explanation of this model that's going to open up in a second here. So it's opening up my model, and the beauty of it is I can have multiple proposals that addresses my model. I can have multiple bookmarks and specifically where I want to go in my model. And again, I can create and display the ability to communicate ideas of what I want a project to look like, or a drive-through that I want to be able to create. So some really flexible things you want to be able to do. So whether it was a stadium, whether it's an arena, whether it's towers, whether it's a subdivision, all could be created with the ideal of InfraWorks 360 road and bridge design, kind of bringing this content to life in terms of real world design.